Okay, thank you for coming. Good afternoon. We would like to commence with the third section for today. And I'm proud to present Dr. Resnick, who is a psychiatrist, who will talk the need for a doctor's education.
Thank you very much for organizers and for you being here for post-lunch time. This is my pleasure to be with you this day, and I suppose we all are situated in a very historical moment where the medical cannabis is going to be available in various countries in the world. And I would like to say some words about medicinal cannabis and about the need for education for this brand new area. So I would like to say some words about legalization and the trends for further education of medical and healthcare professionals in this field. First of all, would like to show you one of the definitions of medicinal cannabis as a cannabinoid containing substance for treatment or relieving identifiable physical or psychological conditions within appropriate medical settings under relevant, sometimes close follow-up, requiring continuous therapeutic alliance and mutually responsible collaboration between all caregivers, including family members and patient itself. Tomorrow I will deliver a talk about ethical settings within medicinal cannabis, and I invite you all to come to this session also. Also, it means that some conditions, continuous and even constant users of cannabis, may be and should be qualified as eligible patients for medicinal cannabis based on the results of a serious medical evaluation, could be identified the debilitating physical or psychological conditions that might be relieved with the cannabinoids, and their awareness of this and the readiness for therapeutic alliance within this program. Therefore, the attempts made by the activists for cannabis legalization to push forward an issues of medicinal uses of cannabis are compromise our efforts, medical community efforts made by some medical doctors and researchers, and we are few instead of all medical community, to bring cannabinoids to contemporary pharmacological armamentarium and to the mainstream of the healthcare. Hence, therefore, they may endanger the whole program. This is a real danger. They just do not understand the current situation and are not aware how deep the resistance and reluctance of the authorities and, the most important, the medical community is highly conservative in its nature and highly reluctant to any kind of new methods of treatment, especially of such kind of the treatments with cannabinoids. So we suggest to all local and international pro-cannabis activists to step down from the medical cannabis advocating, since the compromising is obvious, and to concentrate their efforts to changing the current legal status of changing the marijuana status in their countries in the world using the existing mechanism, like UN, and yesterday you had the wonderful lectures on the changing of current status of marijuana in the world, and the existing mechanism for implementations in human rights. Just step out of the medicinal uses. I would like to bring my great appreciation to late Dr. Mikaria, who spent his life trying to bring medicinal cannabis to the mainstream of the healthcare, and I hope since his movement in California, and I hope that it will be continued further. He supposed that cannabis abusers who are functional and happy, they are not eligible for medicinal cannabis. So he suggested it's not for everybody. It's just not treatment for everybody. Also, it's supposed to be very dependent on personal features, set and settings. Also, he mentioned that there is need for adequate assessment of the underlying psychological and physiological factors for each particular patient. So, on this opinion, he suggested to restore cannabis to formularies and to initiate 20-year study for benefits, risk, and therapeutic properties using contemporary technologies. It was written 15 years ago. Now, 15 years ago, what happened? Nowadays, we are witnesses for tremendous policy changes toward the cannabis occurring in all over the world. The strictest changes are happening in the fast-growing field of medicinal cannabis use. Each year, more and more countries permitting the usage of cannabis on their territories. And we are here just because of it. Because in your country, cannabis began to be available for the last years. However, majority of the healthcare professionals are not ready to put the usage of cannabis in all available forms in their clinical practice. We assume that this phenomenon represents the main and the largest, really largest, and maybe single obstacle toward this wider use of cannabis in the various medical purposes. So what to do? The general willingness and resistance of healthcare professionals to use cannabis, which is mostly based on the long-lasting for at least for 3 generations, history of demonizing and prohibition of this unique natural product. The doctors were bred and educated to hate and neglect usage of cannabis for any kind of patients. Moreover, they perceive it as a dangerous narcotic drug, and yesterday we discussed it widely as a Schedule 1 substance and the need to rescheduling, and we're waiting for these changes next year. During the last decade, many clinical and preclinical data for safety of cannabis have become available, but physicians simply are not ready to accept it, just ignore it as a proper evidence. Our assumption is that they are simply not prepared medically, ideologically, professionally to accept cannabis as a valuable therapeutic substance. So what to do? The best way is in order to see major changes in the attitudes toward the cannabis would be training the different professionals, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, etc., to practice use of marijuana. The idea is to create awareness in all different stages, from colleges, medical schools and universities benches, through internship and residencies, in order to create specialists and I hope certified professionals, practitioners in cannabinoid medicine as a separate subspecialty in the future. It's my opinion. I would like to review some existing current medical education in cannabinoid fields existing now in the world. For example, there are some educational meetings. While this educational meeting is usually one-day meeting, the topics discussed about the plant chemistry, endocannabinoids and therapeutic effects, pharmaceutical cultivation, and botanical analysis. This is a program of typical educational day meeting. Sometimes I will not indicate it because of adversary reasons. Educational meeting also, I just copied the program, looked for cannabinoids and contraindications, interpret an existing international and local regulations, discuss potential role of cannabis in clinical practice. So this is one of the program of existing educational meeting for 1 or 2 days. Usually it happened in where? In North America. I am not aware about such events in Europe other than this meeting. Also, there are a wide variety of online courses and a series of lectures. Usually, they describe the components of functions of endocannabinoid system, and they suggest to understand the effects of cannabis smoking on the lungs, summarize indication for existing therapeutic agents in cannabinoids, outline the issues of cannabinoid drug trials, and explore and discuss attitudes toward cannabinoids in clinical use. They granted some credits for continuous medical education that accredited in several states in the United States and sometimes in Canada. This is highly available educational materials on the line. It's never for free, but the cost is not so high. Also, there are some certification and preparation courses. They're supposed to be nationally recognized gold standard in this field. These courses designed for doctors that have some experience with cannabis use. For example, I'm not sure that you are seeing the Institute of Medical Cannabis that yesterday was presented to you by Step Scherer as supported by the Patients Association, American for the Safe Access. They suppose the courses that only one part of them is dealing with the clinical issues. American Academy for Cannabinoid Medicine supposed to be also a gold standard for education and dissemination of clinically relevant information for emerging field of cannabinoid and endocannabinoid medicine. They also provide some credits for continuous medical education that is highly important for American physicians. Each physician should complete each year at least 25 points of continuous medical education. Now they reach this level for criteria for recognizing it as a relevant for medical continuous education. So they supposed a clinical cannabinoid medicine curriculum. While I try to enter to this program, and they demand at least 5 years for continuous uses of cannabis as a practitioner. So there is some level of previous knowledge and previous experience required. Also, in Europe, only a place where we could obtain a medical cannabis education is Medicinal Cannabis Masterclass, which is a comprehensive review of cannabis and cannabinoids in clinical practice. All the things that you see, they really provide. I was a participant of masterclass 2 years ago in Holland. This masterclass lasting 7 days, and I suppose this is the best place to cannabinoids educational in front in Europe now available. But the place is very restricted. They have at least not more than 10 or 12 places for all the world. So we have about more than 100 candidates for 10 places last year. So Israel representative last year was not enrolled. The places you could obtain information are few. The first of all is International Association of Cannabinoid Medicine, EACM. I'm a member of the board of directors of this association. We are an association for medical professionals and researchers. So we have, this year, we have a largest European Congress. It's supposed to be next year, the World Congress of Medicinal Cannabis in northern Italy. I invite you to visit our website in order to look on the program of the conference and to participate in it. Please visit our website. It's supposed to be the very, very reliable source of information for all needs for cannabis education in the world. Also, the most reliable source of relevant information is a very, very good site of CCIC. It is a Canadian association headed by the Mark Ware. He's supposed to be here with you, but unfortunately he could not come. I suppose this is they have an online, very good series of lectures for cannabinoid education, and I invite you to use it. It's free for everybody. So what we, in conclusion, some words. There is obvious need for elaboration of really international curriculum for medical schools and residency program. Also, I should mention that it should be country-specific approach. Particular courses should be prepared and available for each particular country, which allows medical cannabis use on their territory. It should be based on the local circumstances. We need extensive research for detecting the different education needs for various healthcare professionals, pharmacists, nurses, doctors. We need the funding of such kind of research in order to identify the needs for such kind of professionals. We need to establish a system of truly international continuous medical education based on various activities, residential or traveling courses, meetings, seminars, workshops, meetings like this meeting, including the proper certification for available physicians. Thank you very much.
ask if you're in shock or it's... Okay, so we shall continue with the next presentation, please. Could you take the second slide, please? First of all, for those who... For those from Czech Republic, if you want to earn CME points, continuous medical education, please enlist your name on something that... Okay. As history in brief, I think we talked about, but the point is to state here that, as you see, it's a known drug from already 3000 BC and has been used for 5,000 years. Why am I stating this? Because when we left cannabis inside the medical profession, we didn't do any clinical trials of safety, which are usually most prominent when you want to put a new drug inside a pharmacopoeia. We were allowed, at least in Israel, not to do it, and as far as I know, also in the Netherlands and here, because there's a long history of cannabis being generally safe. Could you put on the movie?
מחקרים שעשו בעכברים הוכיחו שקנאביס יכול לעצור לגמרי התפתחות של מחלות עצביות, כמו פרקינסון, טרשת נפוצה או ניוון שרירים. ומעבר למכרסמים חסרי הישע, פגשתי אנשים רבים שלקו במחלות האלה ומעידים שהקנאביס הרפואי הוא הדבר היחיד שעוזר להם. חברי הטוב פליקס, הוא מטפס צוקים אגדי, ובעצם אם אתם יוצאים לטיול ונתקלים באנקול ברזל בולט מן הסלע, סביר שפליקס נעץ אותו שם. בגיל 38 חלה פליקס ב-ALS, מחלת ניוון השרירים, שבה שרירי הגוף בעצם מפסיקים לתפקד, בזה אחר זה. המחלה היא חשוכת מרפא וסופנית. היום פליקס בעצם משותק בכל הגוף, שיתוק מוחלט, ובמקביל חש כאבים חזקים בכל הגוף. הוא נושם בעזרת מכונת הנשמה. פליקס, אני רואה שיש לך ציוד לכמה זמן?
ציוד הישרדות.
הישרדות.
זה ל5 ימים.
5 ימים?
4, כן.
מה, אתה מעשן סיגריה ליום?
לפעמים 2, אבל בדרך כלל סיגריה ליום, כן.
מה הקשר בין עישון קנאביס למה שנקרא מצבך, זאת אומרת ALS, במצב שבו אתה נמצא?
טוב, לפי כל המחקרים קצת יותר מפורטים, אז כנראה שהקנאביס הוא עוצר את ההתפתחות של ה-ALS.
כן?
כן.
אתה מרגיש את זה?
זה לא משהו שאפשר להרגיש, מה שאני כן מרגיש, כשאני יושן יותר טוב, והתיאבון שלי יותר טוב, אני פחות מדוכא. כי אתה יודע, אמרו לי לפני 4 שנים שאני אמור למות.
כן.
אז מאז עברו 4 שנים.
אני מבין שהיה לך קשה מאוד מאוד לקבל את האישור. עד שקיבלת את האישור, ירקת דם.
הרופאה לא מאמינה בשום דבר, אתה יודע, לא פעם ולא פעמיים הלכתי אליה. עם כל מיני דברים שאני עושה, כי אני כבר בערך 7 שנים מנסה להתגבר על המחלה בכל הדרכים האפשריים. כל פעם שאמרתי לשאול את דעתה על משהו, לא, זה לא עוזר, זה לא עוזר. כנראה שאתה יודע, היא למדה שצריכים למות כן, אז תוך 4 שנים, וכל מי שלא מת הוא לא בסדר. הוא מפריע לה לסטטיסטיקה.
אתה צוחק, אבל כועס.
אני מאוד מאוד כועס. מאוד כועס, כי אני חושב שהדבר האחרון, כשאני צריך לקחת מבן אדם זה את התקווה. לקחת לו את התקווה, לקחת לו את הכל.
As you probably understood, the video clip is again a part of the picture, the film done by Tzachrit. It was discussed in the previous presentation, Prescribed Grass. That's the recent history. What I wanted to show you mainly is that the delivery mode of action, which we'll talk about later, was discovered only in the 21st century, which is something relatively new.
הוא גילה את ה-THC, החומר הפעיל בצמח הקנאביס, והוא איתר בפעם הראשונה את המערכת בגוף האדם שהחומר הזה מפעיל. המנגנון הזה לא היה ידוע למדע לפני כן, וחשיבותו עצומה. שמו קצת שובר שיניים. המערכת האנדוקנבינואידית.
המערכת הזו היא כנראה מערכת הגנתית ביסודה. הגוף שלנו נלחם נגד הצרות שלו. כל המחלות הנוירולוגיות, הגוף מנסה להתגבר עליהן. כל המחלות, אפילו סרטן, הגוף מנסה להתגבר עליהן. המערכת האנדוקנבינואידית היא אחד הפקטורים, אחד הדרכים, כנראה דרך מאוד מרכזית, שהגוף נלחם נגד כל מיני מחלות.
מחקרים שעשו בעכברים הוכיחו שקנאביס יכול לעצור לגמרי התפתחות של מחלות.
So what is special about the mode of work that is done by the cannabinoids? It's a system that works on demand. It doesn't build up in the nerve endings, as we shall see further on, but it's built only or manufactured only on demand. There are two receptors, the CB1 and the CB2. CB1 are distributed mainly in the CNS, in the central nerve system, while CB2 is distributed actually in the peripheral systems and affect infectious process and immunosuppression. The cannabis itself has more than 460 active ingredients. More than 60 of them, as far as I know, we've discovered about nearly 80 cannabinoids. So you understand the problem of talking about cannabis in general. I will already state that at least in Israel, synthetic cannabinoids are becoming quite a problem. There's a movement that of drug abusers that go from heroin use to synthetic cannabinoids, spice, and stuff like that. And there's a rise in psychosis due to the use of synthetic cannabinoids. Delta-9 THC is the most known. It works on CB1, while CBD works mainly on CB2. And that's why it's mostly immunosuppressive that we talked about in the past. CBC, for instance, promotes pain relief and promotes sleep while working with a completely different mechanism that up to now isn't known. It does not work through the CB1 and CB2 receptors, as far as we know. That's just a general description of what is done. The endocannabinoids themselves, as I said, are made from demand that originate from arachidonic acids. They do not accumulate in vacuoles and are short-lived intercellular messages. What happens? Usually, when we talk about noradrenaline, acetylcholine, dopamine, they are considered within vacuoles inside the nerve endings. And when there is an active potential that goes through the nerve, they open into the synapse and activate the postsynaptic receptors. While the endocannabinoids work differently. When the postsynaptic receptors are activated, there is a signal for manufacturing endocannabinoid on demand. The endocannabinoid move retrograde in the synapse back to the presynaptic nerve endings, and there they inhibit the secretion of whatever is secreted in the nerve ending. Now becomes the question, is cannabinoids or is cannabis in general excitatory or inhibitory? It depends. The CB1 mechanism mainly is inhibitory. But if you inhibit an excitatory synapse, which is usually glutamatergic, then it's inhibitory in nature because it inhibits an excitation. If it inhibits a GABA nerve, for instance, then it's excitatory because GABA is inhibitory, and if you inhibit, which means minus is a plus. Okay, so you can't answer the question whether it's inhibitory or excitatory in just one phrase, and it's usually individual and different between patients. This is again a reason why we say start low and go slow when you dose cannabis. When we talk about the intake method, I think we talked about in the previous session, when you use a vaporizer, you have the effect within seconds, like smoking, and it's convenient for titration. The per-os effects take longer to start, but they also last longer and have a lower peak. So sometimes for treating, when you have a lower peak and you want not to have side effects, it's much better to use oral solutions or oral way of consumptions. For instance, if you talk about antidepressant, you use the XR, extended release, or the slow release in Ritalin. It's also due to you want a longer time of action with a lower peak. Okay, and we talk about skin patches and creams. remember, which for me is something of a statement, the endocannabinoid system maturates around in the mid-20s. Okay, up to the age of 30, like everything, some people maturates earlier, some a bit later. Which means that if you start smoking cannabis for any reason before the age of 30, you might be manipulating the natural development of your endocannabinoid system, and it might be, as they say, hazardous to your health. That's why we prefer giving cannabis to patients above 30. But exactly the opposite comes when we are treating geriatric patients. It has maturated long ago, and it has much less side effects. Again, if we are talking for pain as the most common indication, I'm less afraid of using cannabis in the senior time frame or in geriatric patients than I'm using opioids, for instance. What you see here is the picture of the flower itself. If you look closely, you can see brown filaments that go across the flower. Now I want to discuss. When you're talking about a cannabis flower, the flower has the lowest potential among the things that I will mention now. If you crush the flower, there's a resin flowing out of it, and that's the hash. Okay? If you dry the flower, and then you take the flower and press it within your hands, and use a knife to take out what's stuck to your hand, that's called jaras, usually in India, and that's actually the strongest ingredient that you get from the same flower. So if I want to schedule a strength among the different things that you can make out of flower, the flower itself is the lowest, hash is in the medium, and jaras is the strongest, only within the same flower. But as you heard again in previous sessions, we are now cultivating high THC flowers of up to 37%, I think was the highest one that has been done up to now, at least according to the US text. You understand that there will differ between kind of hash from which flower you got it. You can also understand that when you're talking about an adolescent who tried street cannabis, it was usually around 4 to 8% THC, and suddenly gets a 37% medical cannabis into his hand and smokes it, you can understand what happens, or might happen at least. This I want to show you. This is Osnat, and she's a child of a cancer patient. Can you?
זה די מביך לעמוד וגם לספר מההתחלה את הסיפור של אבא, וגם להגיד שאני מנסה להשיג לאבא שלי קנאביס רפואי. אני לא יודעת אם מישהו מסוגל להבין, אבל זה לרחוץ אותו, זה לעזור לו לעשות פיפי, זה לפנות ממנו צואה, ומרוב רזון כל קצות העצבים שלו חשופים, אז אי אפשר בכלל לגעת בו, אי אפשר גם לנגב אותו במגבת, זה בן נאנק מכאבים.
מה הרופאה אמרה לכם?
היא התנגדה. היא פשוט, אחותי שוחחה איתה, והיא אמרה שזה המכתב שהיא מסוגלת להוציא. יותר מזה לא יהיה. אני אגיד מה אני חושבת. אני חושבת שהיא לא מכירה את זה. אני חושבת שהיא לא מבינה את זה, כי אם היא הייתה מבינה שכרגע איכות החיים של אבא שלי, או החיים של אבא שלי, בידיים שלה. כי אבא שלי יכול לחיות עד הרגע שהוא מת. ועכשיו הוא פשוט מת. הוא חי, מת. אני צריכה לא להתייאש מרופא שלא רוצה לתת לי אישור. אז יש אחרים.
What Osnat is talking about is the stigma that doctors have against using cannabis for therapeutic purposes. When I started in 2003, actually I was one of the doctors that was very, very skeptical, to say the least, on the use of cannabis for therapeutic purposes. About 14 months later, I got a phone call from one of a patient who was around 60 and he was dying from cancer. And he called me and said, I was the regulator at the time, sorry. And he said it, he called me, that just wanted to thank me for allowing him the prescription of cannabis and allowing to live the world honorably and with dignity and to have time, pain-free, to say farewell to all those he loved. And as we say, Nero rep all his earthly things. For me, it was very moving. He died about 1 week later. Okay, and for me, it was a change, a big change in my decision of how, of what to do with cannabis. And from then on, the regulation went much faster. But still, there's a suggested professional attitude. First of all, use EBM as much as possible. And when I'm saying EBM, I mean evidence-based medicine and not emotional-based medicine. Because when we see some of the patients, of course, our emotions arise, and we want to help them and answer the request. It's not the last line medication, that's true, but it's not the first line medication. We have very good pain medication, although there's a lot of side effects of using NSAIDs, but I do not think that you should use cannabis before NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But when talking about opioids, especially as I said in older age, I think you should debate, at least yourself or among your peers, whether cannabis treatment is more appropriate than opioid in treatment, because there's a lot of opioid OD. There's in old age people, there's a problem of constipation, and there's a lot of things that's a problem with opiates that you don't have using cannabis. I'm not saying cannabis is a miracle drug, definitely not. And yesterday went up and told you, I think that it might cause death in certain patients, especially cardiovascular accidents. But it's considered a very safe drug, even up to now. When we talk about medical follow-up, in Israel, mandatory follow-up is 4 times a year. I think at least twice a year it's needed. I know that people, for instance, I heard in Germany, they're giving the license for life, and it's up to the doctor to say when to stop it, which I don't mind. But within the doctor and patient relationship, when I'm giving a drug, even when I prescribe antidepressants as a psychiatrist, I would like to hear from my patient at least once in 3 months or once in 4 months what's happening. I don't like giving someone any kind of medicine and never hearing from them again. Now, it's an option if there's a good family practice that the family physician will continue monitoring the patient. But then the family physician and the patient should know that it's his or her responsibility, again, within the doctor-patient relationship, which is crucial when treating with some kind of cannabis extract or treatment. And lastly, of course, we will talk about it tomorrow, is measuring success of treatment. You have to decide on what success scales before you start the treatment, and this is open to a debate with the patient himself. But it has to be something objective. Not only I have less pain. Okay, but remember, cannabis has an abuse potential. It might be addictive. So the patient will say he's feeling better, but unfortunately, if you would give him heroin or you would give him any other addictive drug, he will probably just say the same just to get an increasement in the dose. So you have to look for something objective. Something that objective we'll, of course, talk about later is, for instance, coming back to work or starting work. Or as we saw with Moshe, the patient in the old age house, trying to be productive while doing pictures and painting. You can talk with the spouse to see what's her or his decision, what does he say on the patient? Is he getting better or not? You might be surprised. Can you please put the video on? This is when...
סוף סוף אסנת הצליחה להשיג לאבא שלה אישור לשימוש בקנאביס רפואי. בשבועות האחרונים הוא לא היה מסוגל לאכול ואיבד כבר 40 קילו ממשקלו.
זה נקרא קנאביס רפואי. נכון. ומה זה...
מרפואנה. אותו דבר, אותו שם.
ליאת, גם היא מטופלת, הגיעה מהמרפאה כדי לתת למשפחה הדרכה ראשונה.
לחיות עם כאב, הדבר האחרון עלי אדמות שאני מאחלת למישהו בבטוח. זה זוועה, זה היום ונורא.
אני בעיניים מתאומים. זה מה שאני כל הזמן אומר. אין דבר אחר נורא.
מהכאב. אם בקצת אני יכולה לעזור לאבא שלך, בקצת, אני דיין, מבחינתי הספיק שלי.
את יכולה לערוב שבאותה מידה שזה יכול...
While watching the movie, I would ask you what is wrong with this
אני יכולה
movie.
לספר לך מה אני חווה, ואני יכולה לספר לך מה אחרים חווים. יותר מזה? לא. אבל יש מחקרים רפואיים שמוכיחים חד משמעית שאין בזה נזק.
אני גיליתי די הרבה התנגדות, כיוון שאני מכיר את זה כמשהו לא בסדר, לא מקובל. מגיל קטן חינכו אותי לא להיות בסביבת אנשים מעשנים בכלל, ובטח לא מהסוג הזה של הסמים, סמים קלים, איך שתקרא לזה, בעיניי זה סמים.
אבל זה לא זה, נניח שהוא לא ירגיש טוב, אז הוא יפסיק. אין לו מה להפסיד אבל.
ואם נגרם לו יותר נזק?
אם זה היה מזיק, משרד הבריאות היה מאשר זה?
זה אני מקבל את זה ככה?
כן, ככה מגולגל, שלא תצטרך לשבור את הראש איך לגלגל.
אמרת שיש 30% חומר פעיל, נכון?
23% חומר פעיל.
לא, זה לא ככה. תן לי לעזור.
אין לו כוח, אין לו כוח.
זה לחיצה, אבל תן לי.
חיבור. אין לו כוח, זה לחיצה. צריך מאפרה קטנה שתהיה לידו, שיהיה לו נוח.
אריק לא הכניס כלום לפה מספר שבועות. כעת נשאלת השאלה, האם הקנאביס יעורר לו את התאבון.
אוי!
אלה,
מה?
זה הפתרון חמוד, זה כן.
יכול להיות שקוראים לזה מנצ'סטר?
יכול להיות.
אוי, לא תחזיק אותה, אז לא תחזיק לי, אז הוא חמוד הוא. אתמול היה לבוא.
זה הספירה, רבע כוס מים, רבע כוס מים. לארוחת צהריים במקרה הטוב היה כוס מרק. ובזה היה נגמר.
גם זה בתחנונים היה. הוא ביקש זיתים במזכון חמוץ.
תשאין כמה שאתה רוצה. I think this picture, or this movie is really persuasive on the positive aspect of using cannabis. What was wrong in this picture, in this movie? Can somebody tell me? And why was I so infuriated with Liad, the instructor? If you noticed, she lighted a cigarette while he had oxygen line on him. 1 week later, he got burnt. Luckily, nothing major happened. Okay, but we must remember it's a medicine, and we have to instruct the patient how to do it safely, because a lot of our patients receive either oxygen or, as we said before, other medication, and there is an interaction between cannabis and other medications. And there is an interaction between lightning and cannabis and oxygen, not the oxygen pump, but oxygen line. Oxygen mask. Thank you, Uri. So what are when I say partly proven, it means that there's a lot of clinical material or clinical papers already being published on the subject, and those indications are usually accepted, I would say, even worldwide, not in every place. I know that some of them, for instance, in Czech Republic, like PTSD, is not yet legal, but most of them are legal around the world. HIV, actually, it's for, how shall I say, traditional reasons. There's no real reason to give an HIV patient cannabis today. It was when he got 30 pills a day and he became nauseous, and there was a reason for drinking cannabis. Now the cocktail is only 3 pills a day, and usually you do not need cannabis. We still use it in Israel in order to make sure that the patient, or actually the carrier, enlists with an HIV center. Okay, malignant tumors, as we talked about, chronic pain, mainly from a neuropathic origin. I would say even only from a neuropathic origin, which creates a debate that we'll see in a few minutes. What about fibromyalgia and other diseases of the kind? Crohn's disease, as opposed to ulcerative colitis, which it sometimes doesn't help, while in Crohn's it's much more beneficial. And it's completely opposed to irritable bowel disease, which we do believe that at this point of time, cannabis should not be used. MS spasticity, especially when it's painful. Tourette syndrome, when nothing helped, or you have to go to rise to high volume of antipsychotics. PTSD, as we talked about, and orphan diseases like ALS that do not have enough clinical trials anyway, and they don't have any treatment for any other reason. We believe that every country should have an advisory board or an indication advisory board to decide which novel indications to put inside the pharmacopoeia in a specific country, to check the EBM, to see if there's needed changes in old indications, because we proceed towards the future, and sometimes what we thought before may be incorrect now, both ways, okay? When I was a student, they told me they are not allowed to use beta blockers in congestive heart failure. They even talked of disastrous effect of eye drops of beta blockers in congestive heart failure. And nowadays, treatment of CHF, congestive heart failure, is with beta blockers. Okay, so medicine is not a direct, a precise science like mathematics. And of course, to check what are the recommended medical strategies, THC, CBD, the duration, and things that we will talk about in the next meeting. The number of patients in Israel, you can see, has risen quite a lot from 2010, which were just less than 2,000, up to 2015, 20,000. The turning point was indeed this movie, that from there we came, how shall I call it, an avalanche of patients, but it mainly changed the attitude of the physicians, because it's very persuasive. You saw David, the Parkinson patient, when Sachi showed his video clip, and you saw here the cancer patient. We do not wish to go in what happened in America or in the United States, okay? I don't want to be a kush doctor, and cannabis is only one of the medications that I have in my pharmacopoeia to treat patients, okay? It's not that I now treat everyone with cannabis alone. Among about the 250 patients that I have in my private clinic, I've got only 12 of them treated by cannabis. Okay, the rest I treat, without being too modest, I think, okay, with other medications. You probably hear Dr. Silvio Brill, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow from a pain clinic in Israel. I'm sure we will discuss the matter that in the pain clinics they have a problem because too many patients, especially in the pain clinic where things are not exactly objective, that come and demand treatment of cannabis. And the doctors usually respond, we're a doctor, we will decide what's beneficial for you, but you cannot demand that we'll give you cannabis because it's not a cannabis clinic, it's a pain clinic. As I said, we will talk a bit about fibromyalgia because there is a lot of material or data saying that THC helps fibromyalgia patient. But the main thing then that is asked, okay, if THC helps fibromyalgia patient, why not give them THC preparation? I forgot the name now. Donabinol, but in Marinol, sorry. It's called Marinol in the States and in Israel. It's within the Israeli health basket. You can get them. And why do we have to go again to cannabis extract when you can use drugs that have been known for at least 50 years, as we heard Professor Meshulam? This is again another case series of fibromyalgia that is being treated with Sativex. Again is a question. If Sativex is efficient and it's already a known medication, why should we go to use cannabis? It's a debate in Israel, for instance, because Sativex is not within the health basket. And the cost of Sativex is about 1,000 shekels a month, the cost for a patient. While getting cannabis through the medical cannabis program in Israel, it would only cost you $100 a month. And remember that a lot of people with fibromyalgia cannot work. They usually go down the socioeconomic ladder, and the price of the medication is something sometimes crucial for them. And I believe that the doctor who is holistic, and I hope I'm not saying a foul word while saying holistic treatment, okay, should also consider his patient's ability to pay for the medications, because if I give him a prescription which he can't buy, I didn't help him at all. Again, this is the same paper with low-dose Sativex of treating of 23 patients. Sorry. Could you put the video on? This is Dr. Gur Aryeh, the head of our pain treatment society.
איך ניתן להם מריחואנה רפואית? צריך לחשוב, מה אנחנו עושים אם לא ניתן להם את התרופה הזאת? כי זו השאלה הנכונה. זה לא שאותם חולים לא יקבלו תרופה בכלל. הם יקבלו תרופות אחרות, הם יקבלו אופיואידים. זאת אומרת, אנחנו לא ניתן להם מריחואנה, אנחנו ניתן להם הרואין. אנחנו לא ניתן להם מריחואנה, אבל אנחנו ניתן להם ווליום לקחת. זאת אומרת, אנחנו לא עומדים, זאת אומרת, הבחירות שאנחנו עושים הן לא בחירות של מישהו שאנחנו לוקחים סתם מישהו מהרחוב ונותנים לו תרופה. אנחנו לוקחים מישהו שאנחנו מטפלים בו, שבמילא היינו מטפלים בו בתרופות שיש להם פוטנציאל להתמכרות גדול. תרופות שיש להם פוטנציאל של תופעות לוואי משמעותיות.
כואב לי, אני יכול לקבל גרס?
לא.
לא.
קודם כל, אנחנו צריכים לדבר למה כואב לך, ואחר כך נחליט אם באמת אתה צריך את הגרס.
כואב לי הלב על החיים שלי.
זה אתה אולי יעזור לך הגרס, אבל לא ממני.
אוקיי. אז למה כן? לאיזה כאבים אתה נותן?
בעיית הכאב המרכזית שאנחנו מטפלים בה על ידי מריחואנה רפואית, גרס, היא הבעיה של כאב עצבי.
לרופאי הכאב אין מספיק תרופות?
לא, אין מספיק תרופות. יש מצבים שהכאבים הם מאוד חזקים והם לא מגיבים לתרופות קונבנציונליות.
This is this is, I think, the last video clip for the same movie that talks about another patient.
I've always been against drugs in the sense that I was an athlete, a performer, a dancer. My body needed to be strong and aware. You might notice that I don't look like a Folies Bergère dancer right now. I look like a Dati woman.
Are you?
Yes. I actually converted to Judaism in 1967.
שרה גילתה שהיא חולה בדרקום, מחלה נדירה שמאופיינת בעלייה במשקל, בלי קשר למה שאוכלים, ובהתפרצות של גידולים בקצות העצבים. הגידולים ברגליים יכולים להגיע לגודל של כדור פינג פונג דלקתי וכואב.
Living with pain is difficult. And when people say, Ma shlomech, they really don't want to hear how you feel. So you put on happy face.
So what is the quality of your living now?
I wake up happy. I wake up without crying. I used to wake up with tears in my eyes. Shit, another damn day. That I have to suffer. It saved my life. Because I was really to the point where I was just didn't want to try anymore. Because
זאת אומרת, זה עובד על העניין של הכאב ספציפית. זה לא שבגלל שאתה מסטול כביכול, אז אתה יכול לשאת את הכאב יותר ברוחב לב.
כנראה שלא, כי נעשו ניסיונות בחיות מעבדה, ששם אפשר לנסות ולבודד את הנושא של המסטוליות, להראות שאכן האפקט הוא אמיתי ולא אפקט של מסטולי.
המטרה שלהם זה לא הסוטול.
ברור.
הם מעשנים בכמות, מגיע לפעמים שלוקחים את הסיגריה, 3 פאפים, 3 נשיפות או נשימות, סוגרים את הסיגריה וזהו. המטרה שלהם להיות חופשים מכאבים, או חופשים ברמה שהם יוכלו לתפקד, אפילו לא 100%, ולא להיות בסוטל, כי שהוא צריך לעבודה. בית חולים פסיכיאטרי. אמרתי שאני אחד היחידים שיכול להגיד שהעבודה שלי זה שיגעון אמיתי.
טוב, תשמע, יש פה בעיה כרונית, והטיפול הקונבנציונלי לא עוזר. תגיד, מה דעתך על קנאביס רפואי?
מה זה קנאביס?
זה הצמח שממנו מפיקים את המריחואנה.
בוא, מאיר, נפלנו על סוחר סמים.
תני לבן אדם לדבר. גברת נוימן, אין לך מה לדרוג, זה באישור משרד הבריאות.
שיש חשש, גם אצל הציבור, אנשים שסובלים מהבעיה ויודעים שזה קיים, זה לא מה שהם מבקשים. אולי מסיבות חברתיות, מסיבות מוסריות וכן הלאה וכן הלאה, ואני מעודד אותם כן לשאול על התרופה.
This is a pilot study. We did an open pilot study we did on PTSD patients, and the success was measured by what we call CAPS, clinically administered PTSD scale. We had 30 patients that continued for 1 year, 22 patients that were already 2 years, and 8 patients that were already 3 years in treatment. As you see, the CAPS went down. Actually, what we believe is even too good to be true, and that's why we're doing it now, a double-blind study. But what I wanted to show in here is that it was stable for even those who were treated for 3 years. Although the numbers are very small, 8 patients is not a number that you can take statistical conclusions from, but it's as a pilot study, I think it's again quite persuasive. I think I will stop here. This I will continue. Okay, so I won't stop here. Thomas? So when you go and find him, and we'll continue from the midline. The question is cannabis a medicine? And the first thing is its mode of administration. If it's by smoking, us doctors already have a cognitive dissonance. We usually tell people to stop smoking. We don't tend to get to tell our patients, start smoking. Okay? Secondly, smoking, we don't know exactly how long, how many puffs. What is the duration of the puff? Should you inhale strongly? Should you inhale lightly? There's a difference between people. My puff is not the same as the next patient's puff. We don't know what the flower contains. You must understand that even the best agricultural grower will tell you there's a difference between the topmost flower and the lower flower. For instance, when you pick the good tea flowers in Sri Lanka, you only pick the top 3 from the plant. And here we take all the flowers, so there's a difference. And people, our patients say so that what they got in the March supply is completely different from what they got from for the April supply, although it's the same supplier and the same strain. Is cannabis a medicine? Legally, the answer is no. Okay, it does not answer to the same rigorous details that a medication should answer to, at this point of time at least. So apart from Sativex, it's not a medicine according to the law. Can it be a medicine? Of course it can. This is what we call Remotiv. It's a medicine, antidepressive medicine that is used in Israel and all over the world, Swiss-made. It's made out of Hypericum, which is a flower, and each tablet is 500 milligrams of one of the active ingredients, hyperforin, which is a sign for all the rest. But we know that each tablet will be different in the other ingredients, for instance, hypericin. But we'll have 500 milligrams of hyperforin, and it's still considered a medicine. I think we talked about it a lot. Our main problem when we want to look at it as a medicine is the problem of standardization. It's not standardized. We do not know what we give. First of all, it has, as I said, 460 ingredients, which means it's like having an infectious patient and giving him a pill that has all the known antibiotics and saying, one of them will help you. Okay? Besides, there's a difference between both, as I said, a flower to flower, which means it's like giving your child, because he has fever, a paracetamol, and saying, I don't exactly know. In one tablet, there will be 1 gram of paracetamol. In the second one, there will be 1 milligram. Take it until the fever subsides. None of us will do it. I will stop at this point and move to our next presentation, which will be done by Yelena with the help of Ilya, of Dr. Resnick, sorry. She will talk, I will let herself say, but she will talk mainly on the practical procedure that has to be done before giving cannabis. Yes, Professor Kramer.
I don't know if you know about this PTSD study, the 8 that were left out of 30. did they drop because of inefficacy or because of tolerance?
No, I'm sorry. None of them dropped, actually. What we did, it was a retrospective study, so we just took 30 patients that started cannabis, and all of them are very old PTSD, or very long PTSD. All of them were soldiers from the Yom Kippur War, just in 1973 war, and we did it in 2009 up to 2012. We actually did a retrospective study in 2012, so we had 30 patients, and none of them dropped.
I need electricity, please. Electricity.
We need to...
Okay. And we make a double translation here. Эта лекция будет дана на русском языке. Доктор Резник будет переводить на английский, с английского на чешский. Меня зовут Сосновская Елена, я медсестра.
Yelena Sosnovskaya. Yelena Sosnovsky. She is a nurse, a registered nurse.
Я попытаюсь взять весь объем знаний, который у вас имеется, который был вам дан последние 2 дня, и перевести его в практические указания.
I will try to use all this knowledge you accepted for the last 2 days and to transfer it to some practical knowledge and skills I will deliver you now.
И я была бы рада, если бы здесь организовалась более рабочая, менее официальная атмосфера. Я буду рада, если будете задавать вопросы в процессе лекции.
I will be happy to answer your questions while the informal atmosphere was created now.
Слайд. Я занималась обучением персонала для обучения правильного использования марихуаны между 2010 и 2012 годом. И сегодня я попробую поделиться своим опытом. Если есть кто-то в зале, кто имеет опыт в обучении пациентов, я буду рада слышать ваш опыт тоже.
I was worked with patients' education within 3 years, and I will be happy to share my knowledge, and I will greet everybody who has some experience with patient education. Also will help me with this presentation. Thank you.
В отличие от многих других препаратов, когда мы назначаем пациенту марихуану, мы должны принять во внимание, что это будет больше похоже на изучение пациентом этого препарата, и пациент должен будет научиться сам тому самому более подходящему способу употребления. И в то же время очень важно, чтобы мы полностью кооперировали с пациентом и были с ним на постоянной связи.
Well, we are studying with patient his habits. We should be closer to what he does is in his perception, and it should be closer to what kind of cannabis and how he would like to use it.
Но в то же время мы должны поддерживать с ним постоянную связь.
We should continue the permanent contact with patients.
И помогать ему регулировать собственные симптомы.
We should help him to control his own symptoms on the way understandable to this patient.
Вначале важно дать пациенту формальную информацию о препарате. Для начала стоит объяснить, что каннабис – это не лекарство, что безопасность и эффективность марихуаны находятся в процессе изучения.
First, we should explain him that cannabis as a medicine is under the process of evaluation and assessment, and it depends on his own reaction on it.
Как любой препарат, которым пользуется медицина, каннабис может иметь положительные и отрицательные эффекты. Большинство из побочных эффектов переносимы и проходят в начале лечения.
We should explain to the patient that as each medication, the cannabis possesses some bad and some good properties, and it should be educated to be aware of all these properties of this medication on himself.
Важно поставить пациента в известность о существовании опасности выработки зависимости.
Each patient should be aware that it can be some development of some kind of addiction for this medication.
Особенно, когда речь идет о молодых пациентах. Если мы обучаем пациента, которому 20 иногда меньше, иногда 15 лет или 30 лет, мы должны принимать в расчет, что мы говорим о человеке, который будет принимать каннабис на протяжении 30-40 лет. Поэтому важно дать правильную информацию и принять в расчет все плюсы и минусы.
We should put to consideration that young patients will be going to take this medicine for the long time, should be prepared to the long lost weight ahead.
Стоит упомянуть опасность развития панических атак и общего тревожного расстройства.
Each patient should be aware of the danger of development of panic attack.
Мы должны сообщить пациенту о том, что в каннабисе есть около 460 активных элементов, из которых нам известны только некоторые.
The patient should be aware that cannabis possesses more than 400 active ingredients, and we do not know the results of acting of all of them.
И действие каннабиса может варьироваться от вида к виду и может быть очень индивидуально.
The action of cannabis is varies from the species to species, from strain to strain, and patients should be aware about it.
Формальная информация, которая напрямую связана с местной регуляцией, должна быть дана, начиная с разрешенного места пользования, где пациент может фактически пользоваться.
We should inform the patient on the regulation needs for such usage. For example, for the place the patient should be used this medication.
В некоторых странах есть лицензии, в некоторых странах это рецепт. В Израиле у пациента указано в лицензии точно адрес, в котором он может пользоваться марихуаной. Это значит, что он не может это делать во время того, что он едет на работу. Он не может это делать в общественных местах, даже там, где разрешено курение. В общем, важно уделить внимание этому моменту. Мы бы не хотели поставить нашего пациента в ситуацию, в которой он будет задержан полицией за то, что он употреблял марихуану в неразрешенном месте.
We should beware of the patients not to use cannabis other than sites which indicated in the license which is issued by the Minister of Health, that he should use it only in the home settings, not on the way to the work, not on the work, not in the places where the smoking is allowed, but the patient could be arrested for the illegal use, and we would like to prevent him from such action.
На сегодня в Израиле управление тяжелой техникой запрещено для пациентов, которые пользуются медицинской марихуаной. И я думаю, что в любой стране это будет актуально, особенно когда речь идет о марихуане вместе с другими препаратами, как опиаты или бензодиазепины.
In Israel now, the driving under the uses of cannabis is illegal, and in other countries is also could be placed in the unsafe until we are sure that usage is safe and is possible.
Важно поставить пациента в известность о переездах границы из страны в страну, несмотря на то, что это может казаться нам само собой разумеющимся. Может быть, немало пациентов, которые не примут в расчет, что они не могут выехать из страны, из какой-либо страны, не имея соответствующих документов для вывоза марихуаны для медицинского пользования.
The patient should be warned not to try to take this medicine, the medical cannabis, outside of the borders, because it is illegal and is not allowed to other country.
Мы описываем пациенту, как я уже упомянула заранее, положительные эффекты, отрицательные эффекты или возможные отрицательные эффекты и опасность возникновения зависимости. Между положительными эффектами, желаемыми или желаемыми эффектами мы упомянем снижение боли.
We should warn the patients that there's some
explain the patient.
We should aware the patient that the desired effect and the wanted effect could produce some kind of dependency of them on the wantable effect. So we should warn them that it could cause some kind of addiction.
Желаемые эффекты включают в себя снижение боли, успокоение.
The wanted effects include some kind of positive effects like the reduction of the pain and the inducing of the good quality of life.
Улучшение сна.
Improving of the sleep.
снижение тошноты и рвоты.
Reducing of the nausea and vomiting.
Нежелательные эффекты могут включать повышенное сердцебиение,
Unwanted effects include the increased heart rate,
слабость, снижение давления,
fatigue, reduced blood pressure,
головокружение, общее недомогание,
general fatigue and dizziness,
изменение уровня сахара в крови.
reduction of the blood glucose level.
Это особо актуально для хронических больных с сахарным диабетом.
Important for diabetes patients.
Или для людей, которые страдают кахексией и не получают достаточно жидкости, снижение давления может быть для них критически важно. Мы должны объяснить им, что может быть ортостатическое снижение давления.
The weak patients suffer from cachexia. Also, it's important for them to perceive the good level of blood pressure.
Побочные эффекты, которые требуют особого внимания после первого употребления каннабис, изменение сознания, острое беспокойство.
The symptoms we are advised to put attention is changes in consciousness, confusion, extreme restlessness and agitation.
Развитие острого психоза.
It could be a development of acute psychosis.
И тревожное состояние.
And serious anxiety attacks.
В таких случаях стоит обратиться за медицинской помощью.
In such cases, we advise patients to apply immediately for the emergency medical care.
Как мы знаем из обучения в общем, не только больных, но и здоровых, взрослых, из нашей первой встречи, когда мы объясним то, о чем мы сейчас говорим, когда мы объясним пациенту, большинство из того, что мы сказали, пациент не запомнит.
We should put in attention that on our first meeting with the patients, the majority of the facts we are explaining to the patient is not coming to his awareness.
Скорее всего, он запомнит то, что больше всего его напугает.
We suppose that the patient will think that about the things that most over the frightful information he will receive.
И не запомнит формальных правил и указаний. Поэтому желательно в первую встречу, когда мы объясняем пациенту, как правильно пользоваться марихуаной, лучше это сопровождать написанным документом, материалом, который он сможет прийти домой и прочитать.
This is why we advise to patients to use the scriptures that will indicate all wanted and unwanted effects, and we'll try to calm him down and not to remember unwanted information.
Важно после того, как мы объясняем пациенту то, что мы хотим ему объяснить, спросить, что он фактически понял.
We try to ensure that patients has completely understood our education, our training to him.
Идеальная модель, на мой взгляд, представляет несколько встреч или одна встреча для первого обучения, через 2 дня дополнительная встреча и на протяжении 2-3 последующих недель связь телефонная или онлайн.
We suppose that one meeting is not enough. It should be completed for another meeting after 2-3 days, and continuous contact with the patients within the first 3-4 weeks of the cannabis treatment.
Как мы уже знаем, самотитрация будет продолжаться около 4 недель. Важно, чтобы в это время пациенту было к кому обратиться.
As we know, that titration of the treatment with medical cannabis is going to be within 4 weeks, and it is very important that patient will have an address to apply to it within this time.
Как было упомянуто во многих предыдущих лекциях, немалый процент пациентов имеют первый отрицательный опыт и после этого не продолжают пользоваться.
As you know, many patients has their own unwanted experience with cannabis, and after it they dropped it out and do not continue their treatment.
Когда речь идет о пациентах, когда мы знаем, что им не помогли другие препараты, и мы видим настоящее страдание, это очень важно быть там в то время, когда они имеют первый опыт, чтобы обеспечить последующее употребление.
The beginning of the treatment is a crucial part of the cannabis education for the patient and his family, and we should be there in order to relieve their anxiety and to help them to continue this treatment.
Как уже было упомянуто, речь идет в основном о тяжелых хронических больных, и подход к ним должен быть комплексным.
As we mentioned, that it deals with the chronic patients with multiple comorbidity, so the approach to them should be multimodal and different ways should be used.
Естественно, детальный анамнез необходим перед началом обучения.
Before the beginning of education, we should collect the very thorough anamnesis from the patient and medical documents.
Важно знать возраст пациента, его общие жизненные условия, или он живет один, или с ним есть родственники, есть ли у него психиатрические проблемы предыдущие.
We should know exactly what the conditions of the living of such patients, where he has lived, with whom he has lived. If he lives alone, everything is important to continuous of treatment.
Важно выяснить, какую цель преследует пациент, какие точно симптомы он хочет научиться регулировать.
We should understand exactly what kind of symptoms he would like to control and on which level and from which he would like to begin.
Детальное изучение симптомов, с которыми мы будем иметь дело, очень важно для успеха лечения. Дальше мы увидим, как важно разделить симптомы и поставить цели, которые можно измерить или оценить.
We would like to ask the patients what the perceived needs of these patients, what he perceived as the goals and aims of his treatment, and we try to put our aims and our goals in accordance of his perceived needs and goals.
Важно объяснить, с какой частотой мы сможем встречаться с пациентами, какие способы связи с нами есть перед ним.
We should explain exactly to the patient what the way he would like and he will be able to contact us with which frequency and from which days and dates exactly.
Начало, первое употребление марихуаны рекомендуется делать вечером, в удобной обстановке, в присутствии дополнительного взрослого.
We would like to begin the treatment with cannabis at evening in the presence of a responsible other in order to be sure of the safe environment.
Зачастую первое употребление сопровождается жжением в горле, поэтому мы рекомендуем, чтобы было холодное и, может быть, сладкое напитки.
As soon as the first usage of cannabis is followed by the unpleasant bronchial irritation, we suggest them to use a cold sweetener drink and to use it as patient as need.
Всегда начинаем с самой минимальной дозы, которая нам доступна.
We should begin with the lowest dose as possible.
Дальше мы сможем отметить насчет каждого способа употребления, какая минимальная доза доступна.
And following, we will understand better what the doses are desirable for this patient.
Важно, рекомендуется вести дневник симптомов.
We recommend to patient to use and to write his own diary on the daily approach as about the symptoms and the dosages.
Как мы уже сказали, титрация будет продолжаться между 2 и 4 неделями.
As we mentioned, the titration is going to be 2 weeks to the month, and this is important time.
И эффективная доза обычно ниже, чем доза, которая имеет психоактивный эффект.
We should mention that the dosage of the effective dose is usually lower than the dosage that has a psychoactive efficiency.
Это пример для дневника, который может вести пациент.
This is an example of the physician diary.
Зачастую больные пытаются пользоваться марихуаной, возвращаются к нам и говорят, мне ничего не помогло.
Usually, some patients return to us and saying, nothing helped us.
Для этого очень важно разделить, как мы уже говорили до этого, важно отметить все симптомы и изначально определить, оценить их, как здесь показано, по скале от 0 до 10, и чтобы потом можно было отслеживать изменения.
In order to be objective, the patient asked to use visual analog scales in order to monitor these symptoms.
Эти дневники очень помогают объективно подойти к процессу титрации и пациенту, и персоналу, который его сопровождает.
All these measures will ensure objective approach to the patients and to help these patients and to the doctor in order to relieve these symptoms.
Я так понимаю, что в Чехии ингаляция считается предпочитаемым способом употребления.
As I know, in Czech Republic, the evaporation is supposed to be the best way of the cannabis delivery.
Единственный аппарат, который разрешен для употребления, для медицинского использования марихуаны в Израиле, это вулкана.
The only vaporizing device that is allowed to use in Israel, this is a volcano device.
Если вы не знакомы с этим аппаратом, то да.
If you are not,
Если вы не знакомы с этим аппаратом, этот аппарат был изначально изобретен для молекулярного приготовления пищи.
This device was originally used for molecular food substances.
Like this, not here. Yeah, right. Мы включаем аппарат. Аппарат нагревается, как вы видите. Мы должны достичь температуры 180 градусов. Это та самая температура, при которой активные ингредиенты освобождаются.
We should regulate the device for 180 centigrade in order to make inactive ingredients of cannabis.
В Израиле есть несколько больниц, в которых в отделениях находятся.
We have several departments in Israel where the volcanoes is situated in these departments for the patients for cannabis use.
Для того, чтобы пациент мог пользоваться, ему потребуются некоторые инструменты. Я не знаю, знакомы ли вы с этим инструментом. Это измельчитель.
Patient should, in order to use it in a vaporizer, the patient should use a special device making cannabis for the small particles.
Здесь мы имеем табак, это обычный табак.
Sometimes we use.
Только для того, чтобы показать.
Now we will use the tobacco in order to demonstrate them the vaporizing uses.
Мы должны измельчить каннабис для того, чтобы он был более приспособлен для вапоризации.
In order to use in vaporizing device in volcano, we should use first is small particles of substance.
Если вы видите, те, кто видит, если вы видите, это не измельчается как следует. Если таким образом ведет себя наш каннабис, значит, он недостаточно хорошо просушен.
As you see, the tobacco was not divided to small particles. If it happened with cannabis, it's supposed that the cannabis is not good quality because it's not dry enough.
Если вы подозреваете, что каннабис, который имеется в вашем употреблении, прошел недостаточно хорошую обработку, не надо пытаться обработать его самостоятельно дома.
If you suppose that your cannabis is not dry enough, please do not elaborate it more in your home situation.
В форумах больных иногда люди советуют друг другу положить каннабис в печь, высушить, набрызгать водой. Пожалуйста, не делайте этого дома.
Please don't use it in your home stove. Don't put water on this.
И не кладите это в танур.
Don't put it in your home stove.
Преимущество этого аппарата в том, что он пропускает горячий воздух через марихуану, и нет никакого контакта между фактически марихуаной и спиралью.
The advantage in this device that there is no contact between marijuana and the spiral, and it's just the hot air passing through the substance.
Важно знать, каким вапорайзером будет пользоваться пациент, потому что если он пользуется вапорайзером, в котором есть прямой контакт марихуаны и спирали, фактически каннабис перегорает.
When the patient uses device while the full contact between spiral and cannabis, the cannabis is burned out.
И мы фактически получаем курение, а не вапорайзинг.
And factitiously we are dealing with smoking, direct smoking, and not evaporizing.
Таким образом, все плюсы ингаляции теряются, потому что мы получаем продукты сжигания.
In this way, all benefits of inhalation are going down because of the burning of cannabis.
Именно поэтому этот аппарат, благодаря этому и, очевидно, другим причинам, этот аппарат был разрешен для употребления медицинского каннабисом в Израиле.
This is why this only a device that was approved to use for the medical usage in Israel.
Баллон, который может быть наполнен, сейчас вам покажу, как он наполняется. Когда температура дошла до необходимой, 180 градусов, есть клапан.
Well, I will show you the working of balloon that is putting on the device with a specific device.
Это клапан.
Yes, with some device that breaking the
nipple.
One-sided valve.
Необходим этот клапан необходим для того, чтобы содержимое не выходило наружу.
This is very important in order to preserve all this internal content inside.
Когда температура достигла желаемой, мы можем включить наполнение баллона.
When the temperature is going to the desirable, we could switch it for the balloon inhalation.
Обычно нет необходимости заполнять весь баллон. Как я уже говорила, эти баллоны были придуманы фактически для еды. Здесь должна быть курица.
Usually we do not need be filled too much because it's a small amount is enough.
Снимаем баллон и поставим клапан.
Then we reduce the valve.
Здесь может быть одноразовый наконечник, если это аппарат, который находится в больнице для общего пользования.
For individual use, we could use a mask for individual patient.
Коннектор. Если это для индивидуального пользования, больной может самостоятельно вдохнуть.
Patient could inhale it directly from this.
Баллон может оставаться наполненным 15-20 минут, максимум полчаса, то есть нельзя утром наполнить баллон и пойти с ним на работу.
Because cannabis is degraded, so it's
15-20 минут баллон будет.
For 15 minutes, it's enough. For 15 to 20 minutes, it's enough for patients to use this balloon.
Значит, пациент, который хочет пользоваться этим аппаратом на работе, лучше держать аппарат на работе, а не дома.
We advise for patients that are going to use this balloon during the work time to keep this balloon and this device on the work.
Дополнительное преимущество этого аппарата, что есть специальные коннекторы для трахеостомии.
The additional advantage of this device, this is additional tubes for intratracheal delivery.
Я думаю, мы сейчас сделаем перерыв по плану. Если есть вопросы по поводу до этого момента, я буду рада их услышать сейчас.
Now we will make a break, and I would like to have your questions, please.
A break.
I'm kidding. Some of the researchers and the clinicians are trying to make some correlation between the dose and the effect. And recently we tried with one of the growers in Israel to try to estimate what is the dose in one balloon. Did you go into this kind of evaluations?
No, I don't have, but I think Vulcana have. So I'm not supposed to, how you say it, לפרסם? I'm not supposed to publish this company, but I talked about this machine because it's only a certificate in Israel. They learned this issue a lot, so you can find the papers in their website. No, I don't know. Sorry. Another? Yes, please. Yes, please.
The cannabinoids will stick to the plastic of the balloon. Do you have to change the balloon often, or you can use it?
You can use it if если это для личного пользования, Илья. Если это для личного пользования, можно пользоваться баллоном достаточно долго, неделю-две.
If this is balloon for personal use, everybody could use it for the long time.
Неделю-две.
At least 2 weeks.
Если это находится в больнице, и там есть много пациентов, которые пользуются, естественно, лучше менять чаще, из санитарных соображений, а не из-за того, что активные ингредиенты оседают на стенках баллона.
For multiple users, for example, for departments where it's very actively used, we advise to change it more rapidly because not because of active ingredients sticking to the walls, but because of the sanitarian and image perception.
Вопросы?
More questions?
После перерыва мы продолжим с конкретными указаниями, как начинать
After
пользоваться
break, we will
вапорайзером.
continue the more precise education and training for usage. Thank you.
Just said that you, of course, left with... Who has the balloon? Can you put it up? As you see, you are left with a big balloon full of air. You took 2 puffs, and now you have to put it somewhere in the room for for tomorrow or whatever. We'll take a break now because the coffee is waiting outside, so we'll take a half an hour break and reconvene at 4:05.